Welcome to episode 2 of Investigating Beverly Hills. I'm Alana Morgan.
And I'm Riley Middy today. This week we have an update on school safety and news on a goose chase. But first, let's hear from Alana.
Thanks, Riley. In the middle of spring break on Friday the 23rd at 2:30 p.m., there was a pursuit that occurred by the LAPD to catch a DUI suspect that had been pulled over by the Los Angeles Police Department. But considering that the suspect refused to yield to the police, there ended up being a car pursuit that went a little over an hour. Once he met in contact and got to the boundaries of Beverly Hills High School, he got out of his car and ran to the science building to enter the building until he realized that the doors were locked and ended up being trapped in the middle of the courtyard outside of the high school. Not only was the LAPD involved, but they also had the BHPD help them out as well. Alongside that, there was also K9 units on ground, and LAPD ended up tackling the suspect, which then caused the pursuit to come to an end. Thankfully, we are all safe, and this occurred over spring break and no one was injured. Now let's send it to Riley.
Feathers were ruffled as a wild goose chase held up traffic Thursday afternoon on the 400 block of North Oakers. Police were called to the scene to safely evacuate the goose. Sometimes the traffic hazard call isn't what they're expecting, Beverly Hills Police said on Twitter. Looks like the goose is trying his best to show he can direct traffic with the best of them, the tweet continued. Well, that was sure a great call.
Before the fence around the school went up, security caught multiple vagrants entering school property and using bathrooms, such as one behind me. Hopes are this fence will now minimize the risk of vagrants entering school property. However, the new issue is that students are now jumping the fence.
Students and parents have received an email on March the 15th about the city's agreement to temporarily assign one BHPD officer to each campus as part of their district's 45-day plan underway to enhance security measures and procedures at our 5 schools. Not only has assigning officers been one of the security procedures here at BHHS, but also checking students' IDs to enter school and checking their IDs and schedules to exit our campus, as well as parents no longer being able to drive in the school to drop off their kids. Now they must let their child out on the sidewalk. BHHS students have been annoyed and upset by the new security procedures, saying that they feel like they have no freedom, considering that now BHHS is now checking IDs and schedules to exit school campus. So instead, students took matters into their own hands as we captured exclusive footage of a group of students casually walking out of the emergency exit, and it took security over 10 minutes to get to the exit with the alarm sounding. We also captured another student jumping over the fence after throwing his backpack to his friend. Now let's send it to Riley with more news.
New parking regulations for the city of Beverly Hills is coming as soon as Monday, April 2nd, 2018. The regulation is not just for regular vehicles, but also for electric ones too. The regulation states that only battery electric cars will be allowed to park and plug in their cars in the city's chargers, which means no plug-in hybrids will be allowed. According to a press release, plug-in hybrids who park in those spots will get treated the same way conventional vehicles do. In other words, you would get a ticket whether or not your car was charging. However, the city of Beverly Hills will be charging a fee of 25 cents per kilowatt and a $6 station fee after 2 hours on top of regular parking fees. The fees will be charged whether or not your car is parking once again in the parking spaces. The city also made it clear that they have the right to tow away any plug-in hybrids and electrical cars that are plugged in or plugged in more than 2 hours. Be careful in these parking spots. Now let's send it to Zach Nia with an update from last week's investigation.
The school is filthy. These are the words of board president Lisa Korbatoff. Korbatoff then went on to say that the school's custodial staff hasn't done a well enough job on keeping the schools clean. It has been proven that the school's cleanliness can highly impact the students' performance in class. According to Johnson's food service and cleaning solution, a dirty school will result in students missing school more often, getting sick more often, and even falling behind their peers. But on the flip side, a clean school will result in students getting more motivated and performing better in class.
But I would say to those custodians, why don't you go clean our buildings? Why don't you go clean the bathrooms that our kids have to use and our staff have to use? Why don't you clean the stairwells and the parking lots? And why don't you clean Conheim? Because they're filthy. And it's an embarrassment, but it's a complete disrespect to our children and to our staff. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
They can give us more employees. They can cease and halt the cuts that they are trying to enforce in our unit. They can also give us more equipment. You know, we have one machine. Like, we worked and did spring break cleanup here. And I came in the afternoon, and I worked my butt off. And I really did what I was supposed to do, which I do every day.
Thanks, Zach. Also this week, Julian Gold was installed as the new mayor of Beverly Hills with John Mirish as his vice mayor. That's all we have this week. Next week, we will have an investigation on the recent outbreak of crimes occurring in our city. Make sure you watch the sister show, BMZ, where we'll tell you about everything we talked about in the episode of Investigating Beverly Hills. Once again, I'm Alana Morgan.
And I'm Riley Medizadeh. We will see you next week.